आप सुन रहे हैं ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग कम्युनिटी स्ट्रीम। Hi, this is Q Live and Ayak from Delhi. I'd like to thank you all for making the previous episode a banger. If this is the first time you're listening to the stream, I'd highly recommend you to tune into the previous episodes. And if you have a feedback for me, you can shoot me a mail which is in the description. Till that time, stay safe and stay at home. We can do this. For today's episode, we have Yash Thawani, who is an industrial designer at Honeywell, India. We'll be talking about his journey from go-karting competitively to his experience all over the world and his passion about cycling and aerospace. What's up, Yash? So good to see you.
Thank you.
What's up?
Hey,
How's it going, man? How's it going? I've heard you got COVID. Are you cured completely, or was it your family or just you?
no,
I
I had a close call with COVID actually,
uh-huh.
but luckily I haven't got it yet.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
safe so far.
Yeah. How's your family doing? So,
Doing good. They made actually a pretty good recovery. No symptoms, nothing.
all right, all right. Yeah, man, it's a hard time. You all should stay at home. So, all right, man, Yash. It's been long that we've been planning to do this. So let's just start with our what's happening with you? What's your current scene like?
So these days I've been working at Honeywell, specifically the aerospace team.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
like it's been over a year now, we have been working from home. So quite interesting times. A lot of different challenges both at the home front as well as in the aerospace industry as a whole.
wow, yeah,
So
man.
yeah, like
Aerospace industry is
a good
how's the situation like? Do you think what's the current situation? It's getting better or there's some more time for Honeywell to like go out there? Or I don't think if they are even uh, like having some issues at the moment.
no, like so far at least I think Honeywell has done really well because they have done a lot of smart decisions which were taken early on in the pandemic, and looking at how successful their vaccination drive has been in the US, the number of passengers flying is recovering steadily.
Mhm.
So it's quite interesting, like the recovery has begun in earnest.
Great, great. So, man, let's just start with your start. What I've always been impressed by your abilities, like driving abilities, and and those who doesn't know that he's been a really great driver when he was in school. He was go karting. Would you like to tell us, man? Like how did you go through it? How old were you when you got into it?
Yeah, so like since the time I was young, it was always like a huge fan of Formula One, and I never really knew how do you get into it. But I went for a couple of karting sessions, and based on my trainer's advice, they suggested that maybe you should give him a shot to race competitively. So it was a nice run. I got to compete with state and national level drivers, and I
Wow.
did it for a couple of years.
Hmm.
Uh, and then like after which I decided to join, design school. So
Yeah, how
a
how do- how
challenging
did
time to
you
do
move
your.
from racing to learning design, for example? And why did you quit driving? Like what? Why did you?
So regarding the driving part, it was pretty a clear cut scenario that, I
Mhm.
started itself too late. Like if you really want to be successful professionally, it makes sense to start really young. Like by young, I'm talking about it's not too young if you start at 8 also. So I was already, 5, 6 years behind the
Okay.
behind the drivers out there.
Hmm.
And having done my 12th, it was a time, to make a serious decision about where you want to be career
Hmm.
wise.
Hmm.
And design was something that I had an inclination towards from the beginning. Although at that time, what my understanding of what design is and what it actually turned out to be was very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I think it was the same for all of us. Even I was confused what I was doing. So how did you, what was that one thing helped you go for design, or like choosing design field as a full, as a career? So what led
Yeah,
you
for me,
to ISD?
yeah, so when it comes to ISD, of course, like as a student, when you visit ISD itself for the first time, it's quite a experience, like from school straight to ISD, looking at all the facilities, the faculty that they have over there to teach you. But at the same time, cars was something that I was always passionate about, like from a young kid. And also the other aspects of design, like, all the new gadgets that are there in the market. So a bit of a nerd in my school days and still am. So it
Sweet.
was a
Yeah.
safe basket to put some eggs in.
Yeah, man. College was a great time, and we've learned a lot of stuff there. So, would you like to talk more about your schedule in college, and like how intense was it for you, or did you know what you were signing for? Something.
Uh, in terms of signing up for no, not at all, because it's only like you remember we had a boot camp in year one,
Yeah,
and that was
it's
like
like a
kind of a
welcome. Yeah, very
gift.
first,
Yeah,
very first week, if I'm not wrong. Very first month, in
I think
fact.
it was month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was pretty challenging for a first month in a new place with new friends in a new city.
That's so true, man. I was like, it was honestly pretty scary for me, because most of the time we were just figuring out our assignments and like um, day-to-day activities. So yeah, it was intense. So talking about your experience in China, which was in 2015, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think it would be around that time,
Yeah, and
like
were
2015.
you designing bicycles back then, or what kind of
Yeah, like
portfolio you were targeting at that time? This is third year,
so,
right, of our college?
right. In third year, pretty much I only had a couple of bicycle design projects,
Hmm.
of which one was a team project. And I was not really, open to the idea of bicycle design being something that can be pursued professionally, because I thought it is something that bicycle design means you only do the graphics of it and that's about it. But when I actually got the internship in China, I was working in a very small team. So the team was filled with engineers who had never, interacted with a industrial designer. And working with them, you understand all the technicalities of the design. That is how the things that you draw on a sketch have an impact on how the bicycle handles. What are the complexities of adding suspension points to a bicycle? How materials behave differently? All these small things are something you learn. I learned in my first internship. And
Great.
also, the cultural shock that comes when you're living in a completely different country alone for the first time.
Yeah,
That too is a nice curve.
great, great. So you were always into like how long you've been riding bicycle? Cause I know that you like you go miles and miles at once. So, and I think you have a pretty badass cycle on you too, bicycle.
Yeah,
So
like
you
so
had that, because
cycling.
I knew like in initial years you were into motorsports and cars. So how did it suddenly did it change suddenly, or you had that for bicycle design?
No, like when it comes to bicycles, it was something I used to commute daily to and back from school, which is like only a couple of kilometers. It was mainly to do with one of my teachers who gave me a book on this guy called Lance Armstrong, and his
Yeah.
book was named "It's Not About the Bike." So that kind of inspired me to take
Mhm.
on cycling with a little bit longer distance, and it all started from there. Like my school friends and me would try going further and further, and from then on, it was something that went side by side, because when you car when you're karting competitively, you also need to work out on your fitness, and
Mhm.
cycling is a really great way to lose a lot of weight and build up cardio stamina. So yeah, both of them I would say go hand in hand right from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, that's intense, man. Like I've never honestly tried cycling for a long time. Um, so yeah, talking about making your or preparing your portfolio, or like when you were in college, or maybe applying to design studios. What what was the set of things you were targeting to get that those targeted studios you'd like to work on?
So after I did my third year internship, I was pretty clear that cycles is something that as a segment that I would like to explore more into, because I thought that there is a lot of room for new designs to come up. And having said that, I started building my portfolio into bicycles. What was interesting was that at this time, a lot of my friends were doing, automotive product and interior design. So I was kind of on my own because there's no, benchmark. There are very few benchmarks out there, or even today, like on Behance and all, of whose work you can look up to. So it
Mhm.
was kind of a calculated shot in the dark because if you get it wrong, there aren't many bicycle design studios in the fifth year where you can apply for a proper internship. So I remember like when I was applying that it was like only 8 to 9 places where I sent out my portfolio to. And luckily it's only in my third mail, which was at Cero, they told they're looking out for an intern and it was a right time and maybe we could work something out.
All right. So, like talking about skills, what do you think the kind of skills you needed to work on a bicycle design projects or something like that? How did you even was starting to figure out, okay, like if I'm doing it right or not? You had like mentors, or you were just relying on the school resources, or maybe
So
your school classmates?
yeah, so number one, like I think the backbone in college is your faculty and friends. Like they support you the most. Like just from the design aesthetic standpoint, they give you a lot of insights to your design. And also when we are in college, there's a lot of skills that we haven't developed properly.
Mhm.
So the basics such as perspective and uh, rendering techniques is something that you can always ask your faculty and friends for help. And when it came to the technical part, I would always loosely base it on an existing bike so that the fundamentals such as the wheelbase and the rake angles are right. So playing it safe, but at the same time trying to change a few things, not everything, and evolving the design step by step.
Great, great. So, and talking about your experience in Barcelona, it was Cero Design, if I'm getting it right.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? Because I'll just drop a link in the description about Cero Design. They have some. They are just really badass in their game. And how did you make that happen? How was that experience? How did you get into it?
So it was a very conventional process. Like I sent out a mail with my portfolio attached, and like I think the timing was really great because it was I remember Jan 4th or 5th, which was the first working day of the year when I had my portfolio ready to be sent. And within a week, I had my interview and I was kind of halfway there, like regarding the internship process. And the only thing that needed to be figured out was the visa. But
Hmm.
overall, as a whole, both the second internship was very contrasting to the first one because the first one had got a lot to do with manufacturing feasibility and technical details, whereas the second one was more of a skill development internship in which I was lucky to have a great mentor. So he really taught me how to render bicycles properly, how to
Wow.
consider the basics while designing a bicycle, what to do and what not to do, and also how a studio in general works compared to a small startup.
Okay, so he was a design lead at Zero, or your the brand manager? Who was it?
No, he was a designer, so he is currently in Canyon bikes, but he was that time I think had come back from Mercedes interiors.
Wow.
So
So he was a legit car designer turned
yeah, he
bicycle.
was like a proper designer from Forza.
Wow, awesome. So so you're saying that his mentorship helped you a lot in terms of understanding bicycle design, anatomy, and aesthetics.
Yeah, like
Awesome.
in
So.
terms of
Mhm,
learning curve, those 6 months were probably the steepest learning curve,
mhm.
but also a very significant bump in my skill sets under his mentorship.
Wow. So these were internships, like, and let's also talk about uh, uh, how we took it to such places and what was the work which went behind. So would you like to talk about some of the uh, key learnings you've got through from the projects, from long projects, or what helped you throughout to be in the process to target that one thing you want to achieve, you wanted to achieve. So where did it all started? Like, cause you were in school, you were into racing, and then suddenly you've realized, okay, that you can make something out of design and can do something with automotive design. How did you plan your first few years, cracking those foundation years, understanding the skill level would like to achieve at the end of what you were learning. So just take us through your personal struggles and the key learnings you think.
So yeah, first year I think at least for me was all about surviving. Like just finish the task that is given to you.
Yeah, it was
Don't
same
even
for me,
worry
man.
about how good or bad it is. Like just try to finish all your sketchbooks on time, put in the hours, and from second year onwards, you kind of have this false sense of confidence that now you're good, but you're really bad still. So it's another 2 to 3 years of struggling with understanding just the basics of design and how we go about developing designs. But if you remember, we had these long projects which was under our seniors. Like when we
Yeah,
were in third year, we had
used
a
to
fifth
be
year for seniors. So
2.5 3 months of long project, right?
yeah,
Where we
so
used to
I think
touch
those really,
different segments of design process. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
I think those long projects did
I love
help a
for
lot.
learning. I think it was one of those things which always molded you to become better, right, as a designer. So yeah, that was something. Long projects was something which was very crucial, I'd say too. And like talking about uh, completing a sketchbook of 50 pages every month, how did it help? You think it helped a lot, right?
Yeah, like
I think
looking back at it, it was
yeah, that's
yeah
what
intense,
that
but yeah, the number of hours you put in and uh, how do I say it? Like just the sheer discipline you need to finish each one of those every month is uh, quite a challenge,
yeah, and
along with
it
the
used to
normal
yeah
college work you have.
it used to be marked and it used to be a different assignment in itself, but I think it ended up helping us more than one ways, because I think
Yeah,
sketching skills are one of the most important skills for a designer to have, and at least good enough to communicate, right? Because apparently we are not artists, we are designers, and which means something and has a purpose to solve. All right. So, yeah, talking about long projects, would you like to talk about some of your long projects you think you've got a lot of information and learning from?
I would say both the long projects in terms of third and fifth year.
Hmm.
Like I
So,
think each one was a
yeah,
separate learning curve. The third one in particular was working in a fairly big team in which all the juniors are kind of more or less on the same skill level. So each one tries to fill the gap in terms of skill sets. Like one guy is better in modeling, the other is good in foam modeling, the other is good in making a presentation. So it's a very collaborative team effort, long projects. And also there are these projects which were like do a full 1:1 mock-up. I remember in my fourth year, which was like four of us, and that was pure, hard work. Like you put in the hours in the workshop,
yeah, man, I remember
figure out
I
the
remember
basics,
seeing you working like all day long till late at night. So that was hell of a
and it was
project.
intense. Yeah.
Awesome. So, and also with the long projects, what we also used to do was personal projects, which could be from 1 week to 1 month, right? And in these projects, we used to have different briefs. Sometimes used to make our own. Sometimes used to get from our trainers. So how did
And even, design competitions.
Yeah, yeah, even design competitions. Yes, we have our uni had a really good history with the Siam competition. So, considering your current scenario, like you are currently working in Honeywell on what kind of projects you are working on right now, or
So
are you,
I,
like, if you are allowed to talk about or something?
yeah, I can talk about it like in a very general descriptive way, but I work in the aerospace division of it. So Honeywell itself has multiple design studios internally. So each one works on a different department, and I specifically work in the aerospace division in the India design studio, and I work in tandem with the teams in Phoenix and Mexico. So it's a very interesting learning curve about how you work in multiple time zones with different teams, and you each one builds on the other's work. So that's about as gentle I can go. But about past projects, yeah, there have been some which have been launched. So we have built robots for UVC sanitization of aircrafts, and there have been some small devices which are fitted onto airplanes. So it has been a fairly broad array inside the aviation domain itself, what we have worked on.
Awesome, awesome. And how was your experience in the recent the air show happened at Bangalore? What?
Yeah, it was actually the first time I've, as like, I've always visited these car shows and all, and it's very different in terms of when you visit an aerospace show. Like the inside is almost like a, you can say the hangars are filled with Tony Stark tech. Like there are exploded views of missiles, cut
Oh,
sections
damn,
of airplanes,
damn.
and a lot of interesting development happen in the Indian research and development space. Lots of small startups with which are very promising projects which were on display. So it's a good place to gauge the growth of the industry. Like you can see there are new companies coming in which are putting an effort into capturing this UAV markets and uh, unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, small planes, surveillance aircrafts,
Wow.
weapon systems. So yeah, it was a nice first experience at an air show.
Sweet, man. Like, I've seen the pictures. It looked crazy. It always looks crazy. Um, so so just after the college, just after your internship at Cero Design, what how did you manage your work, and like did you apply for jobs? Because I remember you were working as a freelancer for for 2 years, for next 2 years, I think, after your Cero Design. Or
Yeah, like
how was your life just after graduating and after finishing your internship? How was your
so
life? What was going in your head?
so after graduation, I immediately started applying for jobs because I did not really want a break from that flow which we had developed. Like
Mhm.
because coming back from the internship, there had been a bit of a break between the internship and graduation, if you remember, of I think 3 to 4 months. So I was already looking out for jobs as soon as I came back from my internships, and I had an unfortunate accident after my college. So
Oh yeah,
around
man.
7 to 9 months I spent in trying
Yeah.
to get out of that, get back into the design scene, and I did do some freelance in the middle, and I worked for some time in Pune. Then I worked for some time with a guy in Chennai. Fairly small projects, but it was something to keep it going till the time you do not land a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just did not want to be sitting at home in my room doing a portfolio.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think I was talking to Gotham. I was having a call with him, and he mentioned the same thing, that don't spend all your time working on your portfolio. Just also dive into the different things, different kind of projects. It always gives you exposure. So yeah, I think that's one thing. And what made you go with the Honeywell design? It lands in your interest, the kind of projects they do, or how did you choose Honeywell? Or
So I actually just reached out to one of the designers on LinkedIn. Like it was just a random, short. How do you cold call someone? I
Mhm.
just reached out to him, explaining to him like this is my portfolio. I have an interest in aviation, and he was like, I'll keep your portfolio with me for some time, and if anything comes up, I'll definitely get back to you. So that's how the initial conversation
Mhm.
started,
So you
and
just reached out on
ultimately,
LinkedIn or just mailed him with your
yeah,
portfolio.
it was yes.
As simple as that.
I just asked him, yeah, like if there would be any potential openings anytime soon, and he was like, yes, there might be. So from then on, it was a number of calls that happened. I got to know what sort of design that I will be working on, and also what sort of a challenge I'll be facing once I join.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very different experience designing in a freelance environment versus designing in a design studio, and versus that of a working in a design team in a corporate.
Wow, you've described it well. So, tell me about your process of uh, digging for design studios or companies. Like, how do you? So, okay, once you have your portfolio, how do you go through the process to get that internship you like you want?
So I think instead of digging after your portfolio, you should kind of have a
Hmm.
target list in your head or written down somewhere that, these are the places that I want to get to or aspire to be to. You look at the projects they have done, the sort of work they are churning out. Try getting in touch with some people on LinkedIn even before you actually have a portfolio in hand. It's never it's
Hmm.
never a bad idea to just reach out to someone. And once you have a clear idea of where you want to go, like some sort of clarity, then it kind of gets easier to be motivated towards that goal. So you have an aim in mind to work towards.
Yeah, you made it very simple. It is simple. It just we sometimes we are the ones who complicate it. Okay, so once you have get that internship and then just go for it, just ask them questions and try to make the process faster and educate yourself if you're migrating to some other country, and try to delve yourself into the culture and into the design you'll be going for. Would you just talk about your maybe the experience you had in China? Because I assume that they have some language issues and not a country where a lot of people speaks English. So how tough was it for you to manage your internship there at Chiru Bikes, right? Chiru Bikes. Yeah,
Right.
it was a startup,
So
right?
yeah, it was a startup in the sense that it has been there for a while, but they haven't really gone ahead and designed the bicycle. It has always been like a product of engineering. So the city where I was working in Hangzhou it actually is a very uh, pretty developed city, but the part in specific where I was working was far outside the city. So without Google and all these things take some time to get used to. Like
Damn, bro.
you do have your you do have VPN, to connect to Facebook, Instagram, and
Wow.
all this once you're back home. But
Mhm.
just like even a simple thing like if you have to go to buy some groceries to the city, you kind of plan out the entire journey beforehand.
Uh, uh,
Not a bad idea to write down the things on paper,
yeah.
and you also find very unique ways to translate English to Chinese, be it text or learning the word or even sign language. Uh, so yeah, it was a very nice, pleasant,
Hmm.
pleasantly unpleasant experience to be in China.
And which city was it? What like which was the
Hangzhou.
Hongzhou? Okay. Is it around Shanghai? Uh,
Uh,
Or,
so it is 2 hours from Shanghai by bullet train,
yeah.
and luckily, even during that internship, I got to meet some of the ISV folks. So there was Sunny, there was Pratik, and there was Bhavna, Natasha, Juhi, a lot of people whom I got to meet during
Mhm.
my internships.
Yeah, they were working at different product design studios, and I think Pratik was in Way Design.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was in Shanghai.
Yeah, Way Design is basically a motorcycle design firm based in China, and yeah. Yeah, sounds good, man. Like, and what kind of like what kind of projects you were working there, or it was something which was already done to a limit, or you started from scratch? where you had to make a process or make images for final manufacturing, or what, how was it?
So
As you said that
regarding
they
the
were just engineers around.
yeah, so the internship for Chiru bikes, it was a very novel concept for which they had got me. It was, if you look at the trend, it was far ahead of the curve that they wanted to make a bicycle with a fully integrated suspension system.
Hmm.
So we were actually working with a company in Germany to develop some bearings. And technically and design, aesthetic design wise, in both ways, it was a very complicated piece of kit. So the aim was to generate good renderings, like almost photorealistic renderings, to convince people about the idea and also to raise enough funding that you can see the project through.
Great. So, did you all make something there, or you
Yeah,
had something by the end of your tenure?
we had prototypes ready of the entire bike, but the overall the pneumatics and the stress points that were coming onto the bike, it wasn't really ready for a production launch.
Hmm.
So I would say something similar to that got launched, I think, just last year. So it was a bit too early, like designed a bit ahead of its time, as I said. Maybe 4 5 years down the line, like if you would do it now, it could be possible.
Wow. So basically, that guy was kind of getting it right, but maybe
Yeah, he
not at the right
really was
place.
very sound technically.
Hmm. Awesome. So he was also a designer, or
No, I think he had an engineering. He was a French engineer who
okay,
was
based in
working
China.
between, yeah,
Okay.
based in Hong Kong and China. Like he would go up
Okay.
and down between both the
Okay.
cities.
Okay. Great. So, and how long did you work there?
So it was supposed to be a 6 month internship on paper, but
Hmm.
after the third month, we figured out that there is some complication with the visa. Like you need to have an F-type visa in which the permission needs to be taken before you leave India. So that was something some of us missed out on. So I had to go back after 3 months,
Yeah, I
and
think
the
I
remainder of
remember
the
a few more. Yeah.
yeah the remainder of the internship was done from home.
Hmm. So, like throughout this time at your internship, right? Because this is the first time we are going out of your own country to figure out your profession, and this is the first time uh, working at some place where the culture is totally different, and the kind of processes of work also is different. What was that consistent difficulties you were facing? Like what was that maybe number of things or maybe a few things that you were facing and like figuring out every day, or figuring out as you go with it?
Yeah, the first, I think the number one challenge would be like you're facing difficulties in, at least in your first internship, in all the aspects. So as a designer, your skill set isn't really there yet. So
Mhm.
first is that block of ability to put your thoughts into paper or model. Like there is that one block. Then also being in China, communicating with people who where there's a language barrier. So that's a bit of a challenge in design, so especially
Yeah.
when you're trying to communicate something very technical.
Hmm.
And third would be the distance of communication between me and my manager, who would be in Hong Kong. So he would just come once a week to, have a check on what is going
Yeah.
on. So you would just get an hour or two to discuss of what has been done and what needs to be done next. So it is a very challenging environment, at least your first internship in a situation like this.
I'm sure, man. It would be a great feeling once you got done with the with your internship, and I also assume that it helped you to become a better bike designer later, right? So
Yeah, like
so
some
what was in your head when you finished this internship and you were going back to college? So for those who doesn't know, we used to have two compulsory internships in our 5 years integrated course. So first internship goes from first semester of fourth year till second semester of fourth year, and the second internship goes from second year of fifth year till the end of your graduation,
Yeah, second
and
semester of
and
fifth
yeah,
year.
ends with the jury. Damn, man. Yeah. So what was your plan? Like, you okay? Now you had an idea that I kind of like this, and I got this. This is something which I can spend more time and to make my craft better, and then maybe read about bike design more. So what was your status in your head? Like, what was your state of mind once you finished this?
Yeah, it was very like it was more clear at this time that it makes more sense for me as a designer based on my experience to pursue these sort of technical areas of design rather
Mhm.
than go for something that is purely based on styling
Mhm.
and things like uh, specifically automotive styling, because at the end of the day I think one needs to know where he or she fits, or more importantly where he or she doesn't fit. So
Yeah, that's more important.
you yeah, like at least at this I was kind of clear that as much as I like automotive design and cars, that may be an area that I can explore later in life. Uh,
Mhm.
and it would be a smarter investment to put in all your skill sets into developing bicycles, which is a fairly niche area of design, but also something that is uh, evolving very, very quickly, specifically in the last 5 to 6 years since the development of new manufacturing technologies and more
Mhm.
cities putting in money to get more people into bikes.
All right. So, tell us something about your passion towards cycling, right? And like your current schedule. I'm assuming that you're keeping yourself at home and not bicycling these days. But
Yeah, like so lately, at least since the pandemic has begun, I've been working from home and there isn't really much of, what do we say, a schedule to stick
Mhm.
to, because lockdowns keep coming and going and there's a lot of uncertainty with how things will pan out. But at least before this whole pandemic began, it was very stable. Like, we have flexible working hours at work. So I
And
used to,
also you had had an injury, right, which took 7 to 9 months. How did you get back? Did you train or
yeah, that was,
spend a lot
no,
of
I
time in
did
gym?
do, no, not gymming as such, but a lot of physiotherapy. So
Mhm.
when your arm is kind of stuck in a position for 3 to 4 months, there's a lot of basics that you need to relearn, which is a very you need to have a lot of patience to go
Yeah,
through
it
that
looked
entire
honestly, it
process.
looked pretty lethal to me, man. It was so painful to watch your wound. So I hope
And
you're.
also, like,
Are you back to
yeah,
normal? Your arm is back to
yeah, I
normal.
would say 80 to 90% yes, it's more or less the hand is back there. But
Yeah,
the first time you get back on the bike is a very uh, it's very intimidating to cycle again, at least for the first
yeah,
few days.
of
But
course.
uh, like anything, you develop that confidence back in you over a period of time.
Great, great, great. So now talking about cracking that internship at Cerro Design, Barcelona. First of all, Barcelona is a very beautiful place, man. I was lucky enough to go visit that place thanks to you because you were there. So yeah, just take us through with your Cerro
Yeah,
Design.
compared to the first internship, like Aero Design was an amazing experience overall because it was a proper design studio. So it was everyone you worked with had a very strong sense of design as well as a strong sense of community. It would not be like a what do I say? Like it's a vibe that you're working with your friends rather than working with someone who pays you as a boss,
Wow.
to put it simply. And also the city has a very interesting, uh, inspiring vibe of its own. So we, as you said, we were lucky enough to meet and visit a few places, and there were a lot of other friends of ours who we got to meet and explore cities with them.
Yeah, man.
So
I
and
remember
yeah, that's
I
the
remember going to Montjuic, if I am pronouncing it right. Montjuic, right? That
oh yeah that
It
The
was
fort at the top of the city, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was from World War II or some place. But yeah, it was really beautiful. You were tripping hard on the place. So what was the work environment was like at Zero Design?
So it was uh, we would start really early in the morning. So the VFX working hours, that is 7 to 3, 7 to 4,
7
with
7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
right.
Okay, why is
So
that time? So that you stay productive or get up early in the morning? ऐसा कुछ?
I was never really able to get up early in the morning, like, and be productive. It was a real struggle the first 2 3 hours, and the
Yeah,
first
what's up with the
couple of
time,
months.
man? Like it's isn't it too early, like 7 a.m.? Or they used to have two
Yeah,
shifts or what was it?
no, it was one shift between 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a half an hour to an hour of lunch break. But
Okay.
the good part was that all the work, anything related to work, always got finished in that much time. So after
सही
4
है
p.m.,
ना?
yeah,
Yeah.
you could either go explore the city, or
Hmm.
you could go back home and relax for some time. So I would say it takes a bit of a time to get into that zone of getting
Yeah.
up early, sleeping early.
Yeah.
But I think it's a nice place to be in if you're settled in. Like if you're able to work in those timings,
Yeah,
it's
man.
a
I
really
mean,
great.
you're done by 3, right? You're done by 3. Then
Yeah,
you have all the rest of the evening and till night to you, and you can sleep for
yeah,
nice 8 hours also. If you even if you don't, you can come back home, sleep in the evening for 1 2 hours. So
yeah.
yeah,
Like that's how even I
it's
would
a
do it.
great. Yeah. What was it? What was the process like there? Was it like very intense, or what kind of brief you had? So there also you were working on on some project from scratch, or you were someone who was helping the project, helping with the project deadlines or something.
So in the beginning, it was like as a new intern, they tested me out, giving me fairly simple and small projects in which I would make my mistakes and learn from them. So my
Wow.
mentor would uh, teach me all the basics of, because at that time my rendering was not spot on according to the standards that they wanted. So
Mhm.
it took a month, to relearn all the basics from my mentor and understand how he wants renderings to be done, so that when work is being churned out by both of us, it looks that it's coming out from the same studio and not one guy's at a different tandem and I'm doing something else. So that way, uh, the first month was like a trial, you can say, and
Mhm.
then from there on, projects started coming in at different stages of their cycle. So there was one project I worked on from the start all the way till the end, and
Mhm.
then there was some which were like halfway done, and you needed to started finishing off the details of it. Then there were some which would come for a very short time. Yeah, like what I'm saying is, in a studio you get to work on a wide array of projects in different times of their life cycle. So
Mhm.
that's like the good part of a design studio. It's all based around your core competencies of design.
Wow. Wow. So you were only working on bicycles or some product design also?
No, it was, I would say, nearly 80 to 90% was
Mhm.
bicycles, and maybe by bicycles I mean even the accessories like say a helmet or a handlebar, like
Mhm.
anything to do with bicycles, and only I would say 15 to 20% would be on some other sort of automotive or parts of automotive products.
Wow. What was the main key learnings you got from that place? Was it the process or the kind of tools they were using? What tools were you using
Uh,
there? Normal Photoshop and 3D.
yeah, it was the normal,
I know.
yeah, Adobe Suite
Yeah.
and Rhino Keyshot, like
So,
just the general set of tools.
so you had apart from the from your knowledge about bicycle anatomy, what was that thing you learned from the place, or something
I
which
think
helped you?
the number one thing I learned was that if you manage your time well, you can get a lot of work done. Like I think before that, I would procrastinate a lot, that we do not have enough time. But when you work with some discipline for 8 hours at
Mhm.
a certain level of intensity, it is definitely possible to get a lot out of the way. So I would say in the long run, it has helped me develop a better work-life balance, which at that point I did not realize I'm learning. But looking back at it, I realized it's better you spend 8 hours intensely and enjoy the rest of the day rather than, sitting in front of your desk the whole day, some YouTube video going on the side and
Yeah,
just
that's
being
true.
distracted.
Yeah, true. Uh, uh, Yash, I think I'm forgetting about that project where you got into the finals and got a chance to go to Taiwan, and
Oh yeah,
it
even
was
I.
some it was some crazy bicycle competition. And would you like to talk about this? Which year is this? In third year?
This was beginning of ending of fifth year, just before the second
Hmm.
internship.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
So I
you
think
made some
around
kick-ass designs. I still
March.
remember it. Would you? What competition was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah. It
What?
was the. It's an annual competition called the International Bicycle Design Competition.
Hmm.
It takes place in Taiwan because I think Taiwan is one of the largest manufacturers of bicycles and components. It has a
What?
very
I didn't know.
ed,
Man. I
ed,
didn't.
yeah, like I think majority of the bicycles in the world have some or the other component of theirs being produced in Taiwan. So
What?
very advanced. Yeah, it's
I
China
didn't
and
know.
Taiwan are like the hubs of cycle manufacturing. Apart from Portugal, Netherlands, which are uh,
Yeah.
there, but not at the levels at what
Hmm.
China and Taiwan
Even
are.
their population also uses a lot of bicycling, right, in their culture. Even all the other Scandinavian countries out there.
Yeah, like one
So,
thing that's
mhm.
interesting about traveling to all these places is just the sheer variety of modes of transportation you get to see. Because I remember in Taiwan, I saw that I think it's called the Goguru Scooter, and
Yeah, it's a
it's
really beautiful one,
yeah,
man. I got a chance to
if
get my hands on in Berlin, I think, and it was
okay, it
so
looks
lean and
really
like
nice.
nice looking. It was by some startup, right? Go, yeah, I don't remember the name, but
I
yeah, it
think it
was.
was
Yeah.
designed by some ex mobile designer, but I may be wrong.
Huh. Okay,
Someone who
probably.
worked in
But yeah,
like
it
the
had a
designing
very
part was
yeah,
yeah
it had a very like nice
distinctive
ID
look to
and
it.
like very lean design with sweet colors. So okay, I thought it was Chinese, or it was Taiwanese.
No,
Uh,
I don't know who in which country it is based out of, but I'm saying one of the main designers was a ex, I think some mobile company he was working at, and then
mm,
he kind of designed this bike. I'll have to look that up.
yeah, man, it's a really nice looking electric scooter, right? It's an electric
Yeah,
scooter, right? Yeah.
yeah, I think it has a hot swap, uh, the thing that is there in all the concepts, like you park
Huh.
the bike and you hot
Yeah,
swap the batteries.
I think I saw a couple of them around in Berlin as a daily commute, top up based uh, way of transport. I think something like that. You recharge it, you scan it, and you take it from one place to other. It was coming under the government, if I'm not getting it wrong. So all right, so getting that experience in bicycle design. And now how, like, what was your main challenges you faced in Barcelona, right? What was the day-to-day challenges you were facing, or as a designer, you may be in that situation where you think, okay, maybe I don't know this, or I had to spend more time to, or maybe you're stuck at some moment. And talk us about the difficulties you've gone through.
Yeah, the number one would be that how hard I was pushed by my mentor to design
Hmm.
interesting and new concepts. Because when you're in, like at my first internship, as I said, there was no sense of design culture. So I would say like 8 to 10 variations of a design and done. That's your final design. But over here, it was very different. Like, of it would not be too much if you did like more than 40, 50 iterations of one side view, just
Mhm.
to nail it down to its highest level in the side view itself. Because I think bicycle is one of those components or pieces of product where the side view has a lot to uh, say in how the product ends up looking. Like, of course, there are details and joineries which you work on.
Hmm.
But majority, I would say renderings in Zero would happen in the side view, and then a lot of back and forth between CAD and sketching
Yeah.
over it, CAD and sketching over it.
So, as you mentioned that it was a proper design studio and were they working on just a bike design, or they had other
No, I
projects
think
also?
yes, uh, Zero is a very large firm by itself. Like I think it's the second or maybe the largest design studio when it comes to uh, bicycle design for sure, and also
Hmm.
2 to 3 wheelers, because
Oh.
they collaborate with partners all over the world. I cannot like name them, but a huge
Mhm.
array of bikes that are there in the market have been engineered or designed under the Zero studio.
I'm sure it was a great learning, man. Did you learn some Spanish there?
Whatever I did learn, I think I've forgotten by now. It's been 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, of course, you're not used to it. As you mentioned that you're working in a corporate now. It's a corporate, and not uh, having an environment like a design studio what you had in Zero Design. So how it is different from working in a design studio versus working in a corporate team which has a design
So,
department.
yeah, like if you do a comparison, say between a freelance work design studio and a corporate job, I would say in design studio you have to execute a brief which is given to you in a fixed timeline. So all the skill sets are developed around design. Freelance, whereas comparatively, I think there are multiple ways of doing it, and it's also very unforgiving. Like you're on your own, you do not have any backup, but
Hmm.
at the same time, there's a lot of potential to earn a lot of money in the long run. So in
As a
when you're working
company,
in a
or
freelance,
as a company you're saying, or as an
I'm
individual?
talking about freelancing solo,
Okay.
like when you don't have any legal backing or anything,
Hmm.
the growth is often very organic. Like say, your first client may be a kitchen appliance, and the second client may be a graphic appliance, graphic design. So
Hmm.
you learn as based on what projects you get. So the way you develop as a designer is very organic, and it is also kind of an outcome of the projects you have done. So that's how you grow as a designer in a freelance.
Hmm.
And a lot of it is also you have to have high trust in yourself when you're freelancing, that you know it will work out. Like it can be very intimidating,
True.
and relative relatively if you compare to a corporate, it is very stable. There is because you have like a fixed annual salary and all, it's very easy to make some planning for the long term. Like say yearly planning, if you have to do, you know, what all do you plan to buy, which will help you develop as a designer. Like be it expensive
Hmm.
software that we all need, or a new CPU or an Oculus. These sort of investments can be made very in a calculated way. But one thing that's different working in a design team in a corporate is companies have to consider a lot of what direction does the company go into when designing a product, because you do not get a brief. You have to kind of decide where the money needs to be put into, and that
True.
is something the design team is considered in. So a lot of factors that you learn about how a business is run at a large scale.
All right. That's really crucial information right there. So, would you consider yourself a design journalist or a design specialist?
At this time, I would say specialist, because I'm in an area where it's very domain specific. So
Hmm.
all the projects are more or less based around aerospace, and also previously all my projects have been based around bicycles.
Hmm.
Like there have been few projects
How
here
how
and
do
there
you
of some
connect
other stuff,
both of these worlds? Now
because
you're moving forward.
yeah, both of them are very heavy in terms of technical stuff.
Hmm.
So the improvements you make often is in areas such as cutting weight, uh,
Hmm.
making smarter use of materials, making the manufacturing process simpler, learning about new ways to manufacture. Like often is when we were in college, I remember most of us would say, "How would you manufacture this?" the answer would be 3D printing or just clay modeling or something like that. But when you
Yeah,
actually work in the big corporate, you understand all the new manufacturing processes that are out there.
true.
So there's laser sintering and forming of micromolds and all these
Hmm.
new advanced techniques that you get to know of.
So you're liking the kind of work you are doing at Honeywell?
Yes, at least it was very slow to begin with in the beginning
Hmm. Hmm.
because you have to kind of earn your seat over there to show that you can contribute actively, and at the same
Hmm.
time the company also invests a lot of uh, resources into you, so they send you for all these. I think the first 2 weeks of me at Honeywell was only going through a lot of trainings in
Hmm.
which I was made to understand all the nerdy aspects of aerospace design.
Hmm.
Of course, not everything that they said was directly relatable to design, but now over the course of like 1.5 year, you kind of refer to those courses again and again to see, what was explained at that time and how I can change it or improve it.
All right. So, to a person who's maybe planning to study design and
Yeah.
into bicycle design or aerospace space design, what would be the things you would like to recommend them at this moment where they are trying to get into what they like and spending most of their time into one craft, or maybe something that you think someone would have recommended you when you were starting it out.
Yeah, I would say if it's something like a vehicle or something, barring cars,
Mm-hmm.
like if it's a motorcycle or cycle or skateboard or unicycle even,
Mm-hmm.
uh, kind of knowing how it functions and works has a huge role in understanding the interaction that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even if you're in aerospace, just knowing the basics like pitch, roll, and yaw, and horizontal, vertical axis of flight kind of helps you build a better mental picture. And also, knowing a bit about the history of the design of that space you're trying to get into.
Mm.
Like,
Basically
often
educating
we
yourself
see,
towards the technicalities of what you
yeah,
are
like,
going to going to do
often you'll
into.
see some tech in cycles that is keeps coming back in. It's like almost cyclic every 20 years that tech tries to make a comeback and it fails due to some or the other reason. Whereas some tech which failed back then is a massive success back now because of the new materials developments in materials and manufacturing techniques. So knowing about the history, knowing why stuff failed and or why some this stuff was banned, uh,
Mhm.
does help you when you're designing eventually later.
All right. And how do you keep yourself up to date with the design and to like visually, how do you get better? How do you practice, or what do you do on a day to day basis to get better at what you're doing? What's your main source of inspiration on a day-to-day basis? What's your habits, or something you think which has been very important for you to go where you are at this moment?
So if you talk about something specific, it's not more
Can be
something
anything, maybe
that
like
I
you.
can boil it down to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it would probably be just the routine, like
Mm-hmm.
if regularly being in touch with all the new developments that are happening in design,
Mm-hmm.
visiting some sites on LinkedIn, like some industry specific sites on LinkedIn, uh, attending these events like air shows or if you're an automotive car show, seeing what all is happening in the space. And of course, our great social media like Instagram, checking out all the design studios and all the work they're putting out there
Mm-hmm.
to know what all is already been done and also what the level is out there because it's really, really intense right now.
Mm-hmm. So let's also write down some of the bicycle designers and really good industrial designers which you like in the let's put them in the description so that the listeners can get an idea uh, about the scene. Uh, So talking about your life in Europe, you visited a lot of countries. I remember us going to Lemo from Paris. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
was one incident I'm not gonna forget very easily. It was one hell of an experience. Take us through, man. Oh, how was it? We uh, we hired a which car? Fiat 500 from Paris to
Yeah.
Lemo to see the 24 hours of Lemo, and it was what an experience, man. It was kind of a dream come true. We were so
Yeah.
excited.
One thing I do remember, it was like blistering hot on that day because we were
Oh,
standing in the sun.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, we got
But
tan and shit.
yeah, but apart from that, the entire experience of, just
Hmm.
arriving at the circuit, listening to all those cars from far, and then eventually getting to see them being driven at that level is quite mind blowing.
Wow, you've experienced some Formula One also, right? Or MotoGP?
Yeah, like
One.
I did see both of them during
Hmm.
my internship. So,
Wow.
in fact, where I was interning, I think one of my colleagues over there was the manager at the Moto 2 team of KTM. So
Damn.
he showed me the paddock. I got to see all the riders. I got to see the inside of a team, like
Oh, damn.
all the area where the
Wow.
bikes are parked, and the whole experience was pretty uh, surprising. Like to see all the behind the scenes stuff
Hmm.
happening.
So you kind of made the most out of your presence in Barcelona. It was in Barcelona.
Yeah.
It was in
Yes.
Barcelona. Yeah.
Outside the just outside the city.
Hmm. Wow, man. Yeah, but the limo was a crazy experience because I never been to such scenario where I'm seeing cars flying like crazy, and yeah, it was again too hot and unbelievable for us. The drive was also fun. It was really fun driving around.
Yeah. Nearly missing out the flight because I think Sunny
Yeah, you
wanted to
had a
use
flight just up.
the
Yeah.
washroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, Duseja and one more Chinese student from Strat, right? His
Yeah.
Duseja's classmate or someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, man, it's been a great ride, man, for you. It's a lovely story to listen to. How do you keep yourself motivated? That's the
Uh,
question I'm gonna ask you, because a lot of us don't talk about it, and like at least in college now since we are now adults and talk about our personal stuff. Let's talk about the phases where we were feeling very sad about where we were going, not getting those replies, because you made it sound very easy and simple. So
no, it
th-
wasn't.
so yeah, just let's just talk about the hard things, the things where you were doubting yourself and where you had to keep yourself motivated, or
Yeah, I would say, like, in terms of doubt, I would be like the pinnacle of self doubt, at least for the first 2 years of college, because I was never
why would
sure
you
of
say
if
that?
this is something.
Why would you
Yeah,
say?
because it was clearly evident that, my
Hmm.
skill sets weren't developing at the pace that they should be.
Hmm.
But eventually, once the
And
internship
did you know
happened to
about this?
develop
Did you
some,
know about this, or you're saying it right now?
uh,
At that time, were you aware that you may be not improving as much as
kind
you
of,
should be?
yes,
Hmm.
but it was more evident in the marking
Hmm.
and also in terms of looking at other of your batchmates' work.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Now you're talking about the design education scene. What do you think about the design education in India? At least what we've seen around the people in our neighboring colleges, etc. What's that?
Yeah,
What's that thing they are doing it wrong? Before talking about the positives, what's that one thing that, or maybe number of things that they are doing wrong, or can play a very important role to help you become a better designer? What do you think?
in okay, I would say
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
So when
It's
we
kind of a
joined,
tricky
yeah,
scene, yeah, because it's not like
yeah,
we are the we know the craft, or we are perfect about it, or something like that. We are also at the stage where we are learning. We are never gonna stop learning, but still there are a number of things which we thought that
yeah. Like
could
at
have
least
been
from
better.
what we experience in transportation specifically, it would be a bit more stability in terms of from the third year onwards, the faculty that we had, because
Mm,
I remember the faculty would often change too quickly, and
mm,
when that would happen, the course structure would change a bit. Then each each faculty would have something else or something different to do, and if like even if there's one faculty, as long as he's there for 5 to 6 years,
mm,
in which he takes a batch and sees it all the way through, it would go a wrong way and long way. And
mm,
also from the college perspective, I think many things that were done right were the liberties that we got, the whole attitude that you can work
mm,
anytime, anywhere,
mm.
and you have a fairly friendly uh, community there. But
Yeah.
there was also a lot of other battles we were fighting in college. I think like it had to do with how the fee structures was being changed every few years because
Mm.
it wasn't a small fee that we were all paying.
Yeah, and
Uh,
also I think
and
design education is pretty expensive in the country, and still people are not aware if they really want to try design as a career, and people are still not sure about it. How do you think it plays an important role to educate yourself in 2021?
yeah, also like apart from the money, I think one more thing that people don't realize is not like any other stream where if you
Mm,
drop out of second year, you can join another stream in the third
mm,
year or repeat the
mm,
second year. It's or how many even years you have put in is it's like a one-way trip. You either see it all the way through, or you
mm,
leave it and continue doing design, or if you're leaving it, then it's almost restart from zero if you do something else. Like there is not much that overlap that happens.
mm,
So the best way would be I think you do 2 years of studies in India just to get a bachelor sort of a course in which you get a feel of what design space is,
mm,
what areas you like, what areas you dislike. But and after that it's time to do like a calculated uh, risk or a calculated guess that
mm,
you put your eggs in one basket and commit to studying in a good university because I think the university has a lot to do with where you end up, at least in your first job or your first internship, because they provide you with a lot of contacts and the alumni network that is all there. Like
mm,
even for us, we have many seniors or amongst our batch when we communicate for some freelance projects or we share
mm.
where there's an opening to someone. So yeah, like picking the right college does
Yeah.
play a important role for
Yeah,
you.
it's basically when we are choosing a design college, we have to focus on their alumni and their curriculum, because that is also which is very important. And at the same time, you have to keep in touch with the people who are studying with you there, and because you never, because it's a really small world. You never know. Uh, you meet. You never know where you meet
Yeah, like no
anyone.
point burning bridges so early in your
Yeah,
career.
yeah, awesome. So, what is that? What is the that kind of skill, or what is that something you are spending time to get better at this moment? What's happening with you? What are you learning these days, or
So
what's
these
that
days,
thing you'd like to improve at this moment as a
I
designer,
have basically,
as a designer in working in corporate, or maybe something on a human level.
yeah, like as a designer at least, I'm kind of waiting for my Oculus to come. That's I'm
Mhm.
dying to get my hands on Gravity Sketch and see what the hype is all about. Because I've seen
Nice.
some great work on Insta and
Yeah.
LinkedIn and all these
Yeah, I've been seeing a
platforms,
lot of
where
gravity stuff. Yes, man, and it looks very intuitive and like very and
yeah, like the
intriguing to try.
fact, yeah, the fact that you can be sitting in another corner and I can be sitting somewhere else and we can still discuss in VR over the same model is something I think is a
Yes.
really huge plus point.
Hmm.
Yeah, but apart from design, like the other aspects I'm working on is kind of I've been working on this side project for a while. Like, I don't want to spill any like details about it, but it's of course got to do with bicycles,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a fairly long-term project. Like, I
Wow.
think at least a couple of years before anything concrete comes out of it.
Oh, damn.
But it's a very slow burner that's
Yeah,
going on in
I'm
the
really
background.
intrigued
So
to know that. Yes, you have to tell me about it later, or maybe if you
yeah,
need
like
some help,
uh,
you can reach out or collaborate.
yeah,
Me
as I
and
said,
me
like
and Yash have worked on a lot of projects together, and failed
yeah, the
together.
last one was a bicycle, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a bicycle for some client based in Paris. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's always been good working with you. There's always a lot of things I learn from you, man. And thanks for that great friend who always helped when I needed. So yeah, to friendship. Um, all right. So what's coming next? Like what's the future plans? What's going on? What's going on in your head? Like where do you see in next 10 years maybe, or if you are at
Uh,
Honeywell and maybe doing the kind of projects you always wanted, what would it be? And I'm
yeah, the
also would like to ask about the patent you've recently got. Congrats, Yash, for that. I'm really not surprised about it because I know you are brilliant. Yeah,
so
can you talk about it? No.
uh, not really, but all I can say is it was a part of a cockpit, like an airplane
Okay.
cockpit.
Yeah, that's enough, I think. So what's the future like? I know it is bright.
Yeah, like at least I do not plan to leave Honeywell anytime soon because
Mm-hmm.
at this point, I've like up till now it had always like at least in the past 6 months the projects have really begun getting really interesting, and at the same time the difficulty level has been increasing. So it's like a optimum environment of pushing yourself, and at the
Mm-hmm.
same time we're getting to work on something that uh, 10 to 12 years down the line might be something very meaningful.
Hmm.
So for the time being, it's all hold at my work. But maybe I don't know what happens 10 years down the line. Maybe I start maybe I start something of a business to do
Mm-hmm.
with uh, making a product, making something that is actually being sold in the mobility space in India.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's still a long way to go. Like right now, there are more important issues that I have to address.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you also mentoring people?
Yeah, some of them. Like I'm a part of one Discord community
Mm-hmm.
in which there are some people or students who are who kind of ask questions on what is design all about, and also sometimes I have a talk with them.
Yeah, so anyone who's listening and into bicycle design, aerospace design, or just wants to know how you do it, maybe you can reach out to Yash. Yash, what say, man? You're I think he'll be a great mentor
Uh,
to you all.
I lost you like the last 30 seconds.
Oh, really? Oh, damn, man. Yeah, it's the internet connection. Yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, the people anyone who's listening and maybe confused about going making a career in bicycle design or aerospace design can reach out to you, right? um
Yes,
because I
sure, sure.
think, yeah, I think you'll be a great mentor to a lot of them, because there's always um, good information people learn from you. uh all right, so what have you been reading? Have you been reading anything lately?
Yeah, actually, I'm not much into reading, but I got this app called Blinkist. So
Blinkist, yeah.
it,
It gives you
yeah, it
a
compresses yeah,
mhm,
I
yeah.
think it's a nice tool to read quickly about something, and if you find it interesting, you should buy the book.
Yeah,
Because
it's not sponsored by
honestly,
Blinkist or
yeah,
anything like that, but please
oh yeah, we
mention
are not sponsored by.
that. So yeah. Um awesome. So I'm gonna write some recommendations by you, and I think you've also recommended me some nice books which have been good. Um all right, Yash, man, it was great doing this, and thanks for taking out time, and means a lot.
Yeah, Like it was
All right.
nice catching up with you after so long,
Yes, my man. I
especially over a
hope.
long conversation,
Yes, I hope to see you soon, man. Yash.
reliving,
Yes, let's
yeah,
do a
going through
project
all the,
together. We've been discussing. All right.
yeah,
All
yes.
right. See you. See you. See you in the next one. Peace out.
All right. See you. Bye bye.